Hello and welcome to the top 10 power characters on Bleach Brave Souls. For this list, I'll be taking a look at characters that came out before March 17th, 2019, so any character that came out after that will not be on this list. With that said, let's begin. I'm starting things off with the oldest character you're gonna see on this list, which is Tecton Ichigo. A character that, despite being over a year and a half old at this point, is still a really good character to have. He's got a pretty high SP as well as Frenzy, and he's got the double killer of both Soul Reaper and Arrancar, which is the best possible combination. It's something that comes up a lot in droplet zones and inheritance zones, and it's a pretty useful thing to have in Senkaimon, since it means you can use him in a variety of rooms. Another thing that's useful in Senkaimon for him is his strong attack 2, since it's a vortex move, and it's quite possibly the best vortex move in the game. Static vortex move anyway, since it lasts a really long time, and since he has Frenzy, it can hit a ridiculous amount of time, increasing the damage output, and in Guild Quest increasing the overall points. For proof of that, just take a look at Urahara's channel. Now unfortunately it does have a 24-second cooldown, but when you're locking in a boss all the way in the other side of the room, it is well worth it, since their special will most likely miss. So despite him being so old, you should actually be pretty happy if you pulled him as a filler for White Day.
これっぽっちでもう参ったなんて言うんじゃねえだろうな。それじゃ俺は倒せないぜ。
Next up, we have a huge SP boost from the last character, in Kai and Shiba, who currently has the second highest SP for any power character in the game, meaning his strong attacks are going to do quite a bit of damage. But for this character, it's not just the damage we want to look at for his strong attacks, because he actually has some pretty good crowd control, as well as some pretty good combo raisers. His strong attack 2 is a crawling vortex move that pushes enemies away, while rapidly increasing the combo, and his strong attack 1 has an 18% mag, but hits a ridiculous amount of times, very quickly increasing the combo. Both of these are very good things to have in Guild Quest, and his strong attack 2 is a very useful thing to have in Senkaimon. Finally, his strong attack 3 is a full screen move, which is something that other characters with similar movesets don't have, such as Kaname. Kaien also has a Soul Reaper killer, which is currently the best one to have, and he's completely immune from paralysis. Not to mention that his special, while being full screen, also leaves behind defense weakening, which allows you to deal even more damage. I'm really glad they remade him, and it actually caught me by surprise as I wasn't expecting it. But I've always found Kaien to have an interesting Zanpakuto, and I'm glad that this version of him shows off what he can do in a really fun way.
ハロウィンナイトだ。私の音色に溺れる。
Next up is a character who really doesn't get enough credit for what she can do. I'm talking about Halloween Hallibell. She's got a really high attack of 762, and she's got a plus 50 bruiser. On top of this, she's got a damage reduction soul trait, and she has poise. Now this is actually a very interesting combination, because unlike other characters who have similar abilities, she does not have flurry. But she also doesn't have one of the two worst killers to have, being Espada and Captain. Instead, she has a Soul Reaper killer, and this means that she's actually better in Senkaimon, since she also doesn't stagger, and in situations where killers are multiplied, she's actually going to be able to take advantage of the killer. This also applies in things like inheritance zones and droplet zones. This also means she's usable in PvP. I wouldn't put her at Yama or Yurachiru level, but still really good. And her strong attacks don't go to waste, since they can all inflict debilitating paralysis, and her strong attack 2 hits a ridiculous amount of times. Also, she's completely immune from being paralyzed herself, which is always a big plus. I'm always a big fan of characters who can not only do very well in PvE, but also PvP, and she definitely falls in that category.
勝たせてもらうぜ。そう、旅前、セゲテッパー。
At number 7, we have the Lieutenant of Squad 6, Renji Abarai, more specific the 1000-year Blood War version, who has some ridiculous range on his strong attacks, though none of them are quite full screen. His strong attack 3 though is close enough, and it's a charge move, delivering some crazy damage when fully charged. He also has Frenzy and a really high SP, not as high as some of the other characters on this list, but he can clear the room a lot faster than some of the ones with higher SPs. He also has a really good attack for a high SP character, which also increases the damage for his strong attacks, and he's got really good range on his final attack on his Nat string that hits multiple times and helps increase the combo. Finally, we have Renji's special, which is probably the best part about this character, and that's saying a lot since he has a lot going for him already. His special is full screen, and each hit has a 5% chance of instantly killing the enemy. I'm sure I don't have to tell you guys how useful this can be in Senkaimon, since all you really have to do is get to the final boss and you're done. Though I'm not gonna lie, this Renji would probably still be on this list without that ability, though maybe not in this exact spot, since this ability is getting increasingly more useful.
世はすべてこともなし。いさかいはこの風で吹き消してやろう。
Next up on the list we have Rukia Kuchiki, Knight of Demons Edition, who I feel comfortable saying is probably the only time we're gonna see a Rukia with fire abilities. Now this Rukia has a really high SP. She also has Frenzy and the ability to inflict debilitating burn on all of her attacks. She's also ranged and her normal attack is piercing, which also helps increase the chance of inflicting burn, which by the way she's really good at doing, thanks largely to her strong attacks, which give her some amazing crowd control. Her strong attack 3 is a hybrid vortex move. It gathers enemies in one spot and hits them one final time. Her strong attack 2 is a crawling vortex move that pushes enemies away, hits multiple times and helps increase the combo. And then we have her strong attack 1, a type of strong attack that a lot of people don't seem to like when it's given to characters. And while sometimes it can be a bad thing, in this particular case it's actually a really good thing, since it pushes enemies back and that's what you want for a ranged character. It hits multiple times since it goes off in 3 directions, and largely increases the chance of inflicting burn and greatly increases the combo. She may not have a full screen move, but her ability to control the field the way you want her to is why she made it at number 6 on this list, and why she's one of the best PvE characters and one of the best boss killers in the game.
どうやら仕置きが足らんようじゃの。
Next up we have what would happen if the last Rukia and the Renji before her had a baby, which I guess technically did happen, but we're talking about movesets only here, since Yama has a strong attack 3 that's a charge move, and he's got decent crowd control. Obviously not as good as Rukia though, but his strong attack 2 is really good for that. It's also a hybrid vortex move, though it doesn't have the range of Rukia since it's a strong attack 2, and his strong attack 1 is a pushback move. He can also inflict debilitating burn on all of his attacks, and because his link is a strong attack damage link, they are actually going to deal more damage than the other two, despite him having a lower SP, though it is still really high and he does have Frenzy. In addition to him being able to light everything on fire, he's also completely immune to it, meaning he cannot be burned. This is something that's really useful in any PvE, especially when the floors are on fire. Finally, we have one of the best things about this character, and that's the fact that he's a tag team character, so he has a double killer. His is Soul Reaper and Hollow, and can be very effective against certain characters that are both. Of course, that only applies when you're facing a boss, but even when you're not, it's super useful, since it means that you can use this character in any event that has Soul Reapers or Hollows as enemies. This dude is very versatile.
ヤシュそこにいろ。これを待ってたぜ。このゾクゾクする感覚をよ。
Now, PvP characters are often very difficult to place on these lists. Some of them, like Retsu, are easier than others, but they're particularly difficult because of their killer, which kind of limits their usefulness in certain areas. With that said, having debilitating weakening on everything like this Kenpachi does definitely helps in places even if it's not PvP, since it makes it that much easier to auto. This iteration of Kenpachi is definitely the best one we've seen so far, and it's the first time we get a canon Kenny that has Sprinter. We do not talk about this guy. He is currently tied with the highest attack in the entire game, and he has Flurry, meaning each attack hits twice, and that's twice the opportunity to inflict debilitating weakening, since his normal attack can inflict it as well. He's also a faster attacker than previous iterations, and he's got some crazy reach on both his normal attack and his strong attacks. I wanted to talk about specifically his strong attack too though, since it's a vortex move that surrounds him, protects him from enemies attacking him, and has a very high chance of inflicting weakening. It's one of the best moves to have in PvP, but it's one you hardly ever see, since attacking when using this ability would stop a typical character from actually using it. Thanks to Poise, Kenny doesn't have this problem, and it's something that's useful if you use this in PvE as well. I doubt we'll ever see a character that has Flurry and doesn't have either a Captain or an Espada killer, but until then, I hope they keep releasing them with status ailments, since it does help using them in PvE.
4歩のうちに踏みしめた空間の治水化風の全てを凍結する視界氷結。
Fun fact, did you know Toshiro was actually the power character to have come out after Tecton Ichigo? Seems weird since their SP is so different, but it's true. Still, despite him also being pretty old, he's still one of the best power characters to have. He has a super high SP as well as frenzy, and can inflict debilitating freezing on all of his attacks, which by the way, are insane. Not just in terms of damage, which is really impressive, but also in terms of speed and range. He's got some of the fastest activation speeds out of any character, which helped him be the best character in PvP for such a long time, and they have really good range, which helped him be one of the best characters for PvE for a very long time, and still is. Thanks in part to his strong tech recharge link, which when built correctly can let you spam his strong attacks as much as you'd like, letting you clear rooms super quickly, which is useful in both Senkaimon and Guild Quest. Finally, we have this character's special, which is not only full screen and inflicts debilitating freeze, but also leaves the enemies behind with a weakened defense, letting the special deal more damage and allowing you to deal even more damage after that. Crazy how an old character can still place in the top 3.
そろそろ私の冷圧に耐えられなくなってきた頃か。
Now Sosuke Aizen may not be as fast as Toshiro, however, he does have a much higher SP, in fact it's the highest out of any power character. This, along with his debilitating weakening on everything, lets him hit a lot harder. Plus, he has amazing crowd control. Or I guess I should just say a strong attack 2 that's amazing for crowd control, since that's pretty much all it is. It's a crawling vortex move that helps keep enemies away, all while increasing the combo fast, and greatly increasing the chance of inflicting debilitating weakening. A move that is perfect in Senkaimon, because if it doesn't push the bosses far away enough to not hit you with a special, they are very likely going to be weakened, so it's not going to do much damage to you anyway. It's also useful in every other PvE. He's also got a full screen strong attack 3 that's actually really fast to activate, and he's got one of the most interesting normal attacks ever. The last 2 attacks on that normal attack are 360% mag, which is something no other character can do. On top of all this character is also completely immune to freezing. We've seen so many Aizens in this game, it's hard to believe that this one's actually a remake, but one that's really well done. Now before I get to number 1, here are a few honorable mentions.
パーティーはこれからよ。キャンドルを灯してレッツクリスマス。
私も本気で行きますか。切り裂き紅姫。よ
し、頑張るよ。えへーい。織姫必殺ウォーターアタック。
こっちから行くよ。
なんで厄払いもしてもらえばよかった。
見届けるがいい。すべてを無に返すこの力を。トルメンタでムルシエラゴ。
Finally, at number 1, we have Ulquiorra, one of the few characters that can be used pretty much anywhere. This dude has a really high SP as well as frenzy. He also has a boosted strong attack damage link of 25%, effectively making him hit harder than any high SP character on this list, and he has a pretty decent attack, not to mention a really fast normal attack speed, which ordinarily wouldn't be that big of a deal, but his strong attack 2 is a boost move, and he has Enhancer, meaning it lasts for 20 seconds. In addition to this, it's also a barrier move, making this one of the most useful strong attacks in the whole game. Not just in PvE since you're increasing everyone's attack, defense, and focus by 33%, but also in PvP, since this character is also pretty good there, because at that point his attack is over 850, and he has poise, meaning he does not stagger. That means you're guaranteed to use your strong attacks in PvP, so you're guaranteed to boost everyone, give them a shield, and potentially inflict weakening, since all of his attacks with the exception of the strong attack 2 can inflict it. It's not debilitating weakening, but you're not debilitating weakening either, so don't judge him. And that's just in PvP. This character is also equipped with a strong attack 3 that's a charge move, and when fully charged it can do a massive amount of damage, since it doubles in magnification, and remember he has that boosted link. Honestly, the only somewhat negative thing about this character is the fact that he has a no affiliation killer, and even then, that can come in handy in certain situations as well. This dude is just jam-packed with stuff. He's like the Swiss Army knife of characters, and it's what currently makes him the best power character in the game. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for some more top 10 lists.